see, there's some rough times getting in on the mooring here, I tell you. That's right. That's right. Wait, where'd I go? Oh, man, come on. No, my camera. Oh, that one work? There we go. No, wait, that's the front one. I can do that. There we go. Yeah, see, it's a tough mooring today. Tough mooring out there, right? You think you're on the stream, right? You're anchored in, you've got the mooring ball all tied up, and next thing you know, we're somewhere else, aren't we? Yeah, see. Yeah, it happened to me too. I hit stream, and I was sitting here, and I was like, hey, it's not playing. And I knew I had no choice but to start over. So I'm glad you made it. I'm glad that you made it. I think ROKFIN was actually like solid. They didn't have to. Those people know what they're doing over there. Over there on ROKFIN, they're on top of it, right? They're on top of it. Angela runs a tight ship over there. So does Graham. So does the Mared Moth. And yeah, that everyone should be up in Guten Morgen. Yeah, that's a good one. Why have I not ever said that? Stern, why have I never not said that? Guten Morgen. Man, I don't know. That's great. I love it. I love how original these things are. Today is AMA Day. This is the calling of topics. Hear ye. Man, I need a bell. Hear ye. Ding, ding. Hear ye. Hear ye. This is the calling of the topics. And we are here to see if anything comes out at all. It could be that nothing comes out. I don't know. I will start off with the Blood of Whine, which is the idea that grapes only become wine when they are given the opportunity to spoil. And grapes is the wine. I'm sorry, is a resurrected grape. It's a grape that's died first and was risen again. And oh God, that was like, don't tell me I'm muted, but I'm not muted. I might be a little hot though. I might be a little bit. I'm gonna try and go right there. Yeah. And so when we think about wine, I want you to remember that the product of wine itself is based on the death of the grape. The grape had to be denied its being plucked while it was ripe. It had to go through this spoiling process, the death first, before it became something that was totally different. Alcohol, the demons that we associate with alcohol, the reason why those demons are there is the same reason why you see ghosts in the house or ghosts in the machine. These wandering plasma urges that we call vectored will here on James True Live, we call those vectored will, that vectored will is only brought about by the plasmic shadow of that urge to begin with. And when someone dies, these plasmic shadows become more apparent. Why? Because the shadow has nowhere else to resolve. And especially if that person doesn't know that they died, 30 Years Among the Dead is a pretty good book. Especially if that person doesn't know that they died, the quantum entanglement of that vectored will on the staircase is going to continue. It's you associate with things. In fact, what you believe in, germ theory, republicanism, just trying to think of like weird shit that people might believe in, dinosaurs, right? Apollo program, right? 6 months away from the nuclear war, crazy ass fucking retarded shit like that. That even if you believe in those things, here's the thing. It's not what you believe, it's how deeply you believe it. The true power and organic nature of true real electricity, the kind of electricity that moves a man when he wakes up in the morning, that causes him to seek things to be done. That kind of electricity is not run on logic. It's not run on the fluid clarity of a manual. There's not a technical manual to Atom with all the schema drawn out. We've certainly tried to make one. But keep in mind, That technical manual doesn't exist. So every single person that's telling you the purpose of man is making that shit up too. And that's fine. We should be doing that. But it's the depth of your belief that really determines how well you do. It's not whether or not your belief is accurate in some pretend third party's eyes. This hypothetical idea of objectivity. The true nature of your strength is going to be your depth of your belief. And if you think that Joseph Smith dug up the sacred reptilian golden scales of the fleece of Jordan from the trumpeted, from the that was waxed in the spittle from the trumpets of Jericho, there we go, and passed through, the Nile from west to east, not from east to west, you're starting to tap into the torque of belief. It's not the rationale that gives belief its power. It's the torque of the individual. And that torque is really how you associate with things. You associate with your vectored will. You associate with it. You associate with it so hard it leaves your body and it becomes a machine. The ghost in the machine is your will. The ghost in the machine is someone's forgotten belief. We turn these motors on and we dismiss them because we cannot tangibly see our belief. So we are winding up these toys and letting them loose across the landscape. The collection of these toys put together would be your belief hive. And all of these different instruments that are buzzing in different ways are every single belief you've ever had, whether it be that you are going to succeed, whether it be that you're going to fail miserably. All of those are in tandem, competing in the same swarm of locusts that you unleash on this world. And when someone sees you, what they're really seeing is a locust cloud of belief in I am, in who you are. That you are looking at a trillion locusts buzzing and forming around you to produce this idea that no, all of us are one thing. The spleen is creating an autonomous relationship with the kidney. The esophagus. We are constantly fearing and looking for the rising of the snake. And if you freaking look at an anatomy book, you see the exact serpentine spiral coming up your intestines. But no, we need something more esoteric than that because it can't be based on the body itself. But it's true. You are actually not a person until you believe that you are. Because before that time, you are a beast of burden. You are a walking golem. And someone breathed life into you and gave you an order, and you will repeat it over and over and over and over again. Belief itself is this essential identity structure. Even when you die, the blood of wine is a resurrection of failed belief. And I want you to imagine that the grape commits seri-cari, suiciding itself in the hopes of becoming the wine. That every savior, that every antenna, that every Greta begins their world from regret, from the regretta of a life that's not true. The idea of growing up a grape as a young grapeling was full of hope and glory that you would be popped into the mouth of a deer or of a child. And that instead something much, much more horrible happened to you, that you were pummeled into this paste. You were placed in a barrel of darkness, and you were stepped on over and over and over and over again. And this secreted your very essence, your very juice of who you were, and that juice did the same thing that happens in a caterpillar. The acid dissolves itself of who it was, ceases to be, and something new ferments in the phoenix of that drowning. It's a drowning phoenix. And this is the spirit of alcohol. This is what mesmerizes us. It is the liquid paste of regret. And it ferments because it stews. Just like you and I stew, so too does this wine. So too does the liquor. And so when you see someone losing themselves, what they're actually doing is creating this sacred ritual with Bacchus, saying, I feel your pain, and I will reflect it now in my body and become an alcoholic. Alcoholics are the Puritans of Bacchus. They are the nuns and the eunuchs that have consecrated their bond to resonating the pain from these grapes. And if it were not for the vectored will of those dying roses, of those squashed dreams of grapeness, there would be no Bacchus to render in the fields of man. Greta is popular because of Bacchus. And this Bacchus of wine is Baal. The weather of our emotions is just as real as the weather that feeds our crops. That when we worship the rain gods, we're still doing that now, but that rain is an Aquarian rain of emotion. We are begging for the rain to come. We are begging for an end of the drought. And for that rain to come, everything must be cleansed. Every spoiled, missed, unharvested emotion is going to have an anti-emotion. And that anti-emotion needs to be expressed. The grapes of wrath indeed be. That's right, the grapes of wrath. This is a closed system. It's a thermodynamic equation that's completely zipped together from beginning to end. And every emotion will be accounted for, and no one and no emotion will be denied unless it lacks belief. You realize that truth is meaningless now because those who believe in something are going to create the grapes of wrath, the blood of wine, right? This is a byproduct of your witness always being on 24 hours a day. It's probably the thing that makes it the hardest when it comes to harnessing our discipline. Because you can't just turn it off, right? Almost had a... Anyway. So that's my take on the blood of wine and the power of that alcoholism. Alcohol, the liquid paste of regret. Yeah. it's there's something deeper happening there. There really is. And Greta is a great example of staring into the eyes of Bacchus. I should have that image up so I could show it to you right now, the thumbnail. But that stuff's real, and it's running most of the world. Most of the boomers use alcohol. And we look back at Bacchus back then, but it's so prevalent now. It's even more so. The same way we look back, the same way we look back at Baal worship. Back then they were throwing babies into the flaming bronze dumpsters. They're set on fire. It was back then. Man. So glad we don't do that now. No, we do that with fetuses, but not with babies. That would be sick if we were doing that with babies. My God. These things all will always be here in the room. The truth is always in the room, right? Will always be right in front of you. Looking for it. So, there you go. I finally got my my car back yesterday. It took 6 days to get that done. That was fun. And so I'm a little bit behind this week. But it feels good to be mobile again. Looking for if you guys have any AMA topics. By the way, Dojo is I can stop this. Dojo is every Friday now. We're gonna try that every Friday during the day. I'm not trying to end the nighttime dojos. We just missed last week, but every week on Friday we're gonna do a dojo. So if anyone's wondering about that, that's going to just be regular. It's just too hard to try and skip for me. Some of you is no problem for, but for me it's hard. It's really difficult math for me to figure that out. Let's see. Oh, Bacchus is Bacchus. It's the probably the best known for the god of wine, right? Or goddess. Is most of the time it's a god. Wait, did I spell this right? Looking for like a main entry on it, but it doesn't come up as a main entry. Bacchus god, let's see. The god of wine and vegetation. Bacchus in Greek mythology was the god of wine and vegetation. He showed mortals how to cultivate grapevines and make wine. As the son of Zeus, Bacchus is usually characterized in one of two ways. First, the god of vegetation, specifically of the fruit of the trees. Bacchus, in many ways, you could see as the Cain, that the fermenting of vegetation versus the fermenting of man. And God was not as pleased with Cain. Is sort of like the reason why God could not be pleased with Cain is because he needed Cain to invert from Abel. That's all. He just needed Cain to follow his path the same way Abel followed his, but on an inverted level, right? So all crops that are resurrected, that have a resurrection, all people that have a resurrection. You and I have a resurrection. We were resurrected from believing in countries. Resurrected from old ideas, right? That's an important kind of fork. No more Wednesday Dojo. In case that chat's running late, Debbie. No, we're definitely doing. I bet you the chat's running late, and so maybe I answered that as you were typing it. I don't know. But yeah, Fridays, every Friday day after stream is regular dojo, and then Wednesday night I think we can keep alternating it. Yeah, we could do it tonight if enough people said no, we have to do it tonight. Then that's cool with me. So yeah, let me know. Trying to replace missing spirit connections. Yes. Cane, sugar versus salts. Yes. And also most sugar leads to fermentation, right? Most of your alcohol is fermented in that same way. I am the resurrection, I am the life. Yes. Your identity. What is a vision quest, right? Vision quest is the seeking of resurrection. And the best way to have a resurrection is to die. It's like so simple, right? And that death is going to be in all kinds of these beliefs, all kinds of these things. You know, your house is a belief. your all these things. Anything that you change or is lost in your life are beliefs that have been solidified. James, I think if you were more clickbait, you may get a lot of extra traffic. A lot of your speakings are hidden, I think, but maybe it's better that way. Well, the thing is I was just noticing this about Elon Musk. Paul Joseph Watson has a popular video out saying Elon Musk is based. And, because Elon Musk is buying Twitter, and now Elon Musk wants to put an edit button on tweets. Like, this is how we populate Mars, by the way. Is the most important thing that could ever save humanity. The one activity that we can participate in that has zero problems with any kind of carbon footprint at all. And we're going to do that as soon as we fix traffic, as soon as we buy Twitter, as soon as we put an edit button on Twitter, as soon as we rescue suspected children in a cave, as soon as we create a new tunnel digging machine, because when we're on Mars, the traffic's going to be an issue, and it's going to be really going to make a lot of sense that we're going to need to build tunnels under Mars right away, because underneath Mars, it's somehow magically you can breathe underground, maybe? And this is what I mean by it's not about rationale, it's about the power of belief. Who's winning right now? The people that have the most association with belief. I'm saying you associate with your belief. I spent years talking about disassociating, but I'm telling you associate with the belief. And the more you associate with the belief, the more others associate with belief, the more powerful that belief is. Same with PCR tests, same with, germ theory. We have an idea that this is how it works. And the very same instruments to test witches are used to implement jabby-jabbies. It's the same, it's belief. And belief is why it works. This is why I talk about the placebo scale all the time, about the delivery of medicine through these different methods, right? Is weaker or stronger. And all that comes back down to belief. And it's not about the accuracy of the belief. If it was about the accuracy, I think the root of most plants would be the most potent for our medicine. We would believe that if we were to eat roots of plants, that we would benefit the most from them, but we don't. Roots like number 3. Pills are actually more powerful. Pills look important. They look like someone who knows more than I do. I've never made a pill. Here's this person's making a pill. That someone more important than I've ever been made this pill for me. How do you know? Well, because it's got the big letter E. It's embossed inside the pill. Man, they must have like a mold. Which means they must make like more than one pill. Man, if they're making more than one pill, clearly that's medicine to me. It's the belief that injects that. You'd probably ruin, I bet you that if you started making your own ibuprofen or whatever it is, some of you probably still rely. I had an ibuprofen like a month ago or something. And I think the moment that you and I start making our own pills, like our own capsules like that, is the moment that we even start to lose the effectiveness of what the pill used to give us before we started making our own. Just as if you were to show up to a doctor's office wearing a white lab coat, which would be hilarious, by the way. Someone should do this and get back to me. But to show up to your doctor's appointment wearing a lab coat would be hilarious. Sadly, I don't think you would get nearly as much healing out of it. I don't think it would happen as much. It's your belief that you put into it. This is why psychic palm readers are legit. It's just legit. And I think if you understand the technology of belief, you would find yourself passing a lot more on psychic hand readers than you would say yes to. Because you enter into a plasmatically moldable relationship when you pull into the trailer in the gravel parking lot on the side of the road that says palm reading, and you open the trailer door, and someone you've never met is about to tell you your fortune. That is as psychically vulnerable as you could become at a doctor's office. The exact same thing. There's a splitting of energy. The steeple is open, right? It opens in that moment and something happens. And it's important, or it's not important, that you trust or believe or have faith or feel confident or simulate that this is going to be a positive experience for you. But I know deep down that your intuition may need a negative experience for you. It may need to cane your ass instead of able. Imagine being a root and feeling like you were denied sunlight. And you're seeking water the whole time. And every time you find water, you curse it because it's not sunlight. And imagine being the bud on the end of a tree, desperately seeking water, and constantly being burned in the infernal hell of sunlight. And this whole time just desperate for something to drink. Those are twistings. And those twistings are caused not by rational truth, but by belief. And we will twist and tune ourselves with our spine, for good or for bad, right? It's the same destiny. You get to choose. It's the same destiny either way. Yeah, Zerkov, walk into the doctor's office with a lab coat, and anytime when you go up to the receptionist and she tells you, please have a seat, this will take a minute, just write that down on the clipboard. You can go sit down still, but write that down and nod your head and look at her and say, okay, I got you. Oh, I don't think this is the thing though. We don't want to screw this up. We don't want to mess up the ritual, right? We can't screw this ritual up. So we're treading on dangerous territory. I think we need placebic medicine rituals like this. We need them. So that's the crucial thing to understanding here, is that I'm not trying to tell you, oh, this is the only way it's going to be right? It's not. Because your belief's going to determine what's right. It's your belief. That's what's going to determine it. He who stretches their earlobe the longest is chief now. There's really nothing wrong with that. I think it's wrong to have a fucking chief. So if we're going to say we need to have a fucking chief, then we might as well do it that way. So it's not like you're being moral if you choose the right method of ear stretching, right? It's your tribe of one is merging with something larger. And it's not that that's inherently wrong, because your liver is merging with your I am right now. Your heart's talking to it, and those two are working great together, right? It would suck if the liver was like, I always wanted to be a heart. And it would suck if the heart the whole time was like, man, I just wanted to be a liver. Right? You have the same kind of golden child's happening there. Belief is a mental illness. Explain that. How is belief a mental illness? Saying you know something might be a mental illness. Right? Claiming that you're sure of something might be. But what is knowledge? What is what we call common knowledge, but just really, really good fortified belief? And of course, that belief's going to be fortified by how well the evidence stacks up to it. But underneath that is something deeper. So, belief is a mental illness is a belief. That's true. That's true. Your belief that it's a belief is a belief. And I believe that your belief that it's a belief is a belief. So, none of us are going to find the foundation underneath all that. I don't think it works that way. Note that most psychic palm readers won't share anything perceived as negative that comes up. Yeah, that's like you first think that the danger is that the palm reader would tell you, oh, you're going to die and you have to give me all your money or something like that. That's your very growing up. Like that was your thing. Like, I have to watch out for them. But it's so much more subtle than that. You are becoming naked to that palm reader. Even if you walk in thinking this is all a sham, here's what's profound about it. Here's what's so profound about palm reading. If you climb onto the wagon and you're convinced that this entire thing is a sham, and you sit through that and there's something that feels dark to you that was told to you, and you leave that tent and you're laughing and you're like, oh, everything's, that's so silly, blah, blah, blah. 4 years from now, you will be down. You will have a lack of electricity. And that palm reader will be there. And you can choose how that palm reader is going to be there. You can choose what the purpose of that palm reader is going to be. And the palm reader gets to choose that too, a little bit, but not so much. They get to wear whatever mask they want. They can dance whatever they want to dance, but how you interpret that dance is really going to be up to them. And so you end up in this, I think you end up in a deeper relationship than you can admit when you interact with things like that. I lived in Asheville, and there was a lot of that. It wasn't at all, it was never palm reading because that was too on the nose. So it turned back into the kind of the augurism of Rome, which I think is beautiful. You know, no one was like auspicing birds, which is too bad because I would have taken that seriously. But auspicing other things, cards, tarot cards, which all these are vital tools because you're starting to tap into this technology of belief. Unless you think that belief's the enemy, unless you have this idea that there's this thing called knowledge and you have that, and you didn't have it yesterday, but you have it today. But now that you have it, you've got it, and there's no way you're ever going to lose it. You might find more knowledge, but it will never change the fact that what you know now was true and knowledgeable. And yeah, it doesn't really work that way. Now you have belief, and this belief works. It works really well. It's very confident. It's a belief that gives you a lot of confidence. You're able to pull a lot of torque out of it. And it's selfish. I'm not trying to say it's bad, but I'm saying that the reason why you're calling it knowledge is because the belief selfishly serves you in a good way. And we like the word selfish here. So it's like that. The effect of fortune cookie, yes. Yes, the woman that I married, our first date, we had fortune cookies. I think it was our first date. It might not have been, but it was pretty much up there. And they were the same fortune. It was exactly the same fortune. And the fortune was really John Hughes mushy. I've got it somewhere, but I can't remember what it said. It was happiness is right in front of you or something like that. It was something that was at the time full of knowledge of oh my God, this is we should so go home and consecrate this with sex right now. And which is great. Holy geez, that was great ritual. But the Oh, the grape of that wrath, my friends. The juice of that raisin in the sun is still burning today. I still I still choke on the flaky biscuit of that fortune cookie, and it's great because that's what proves my point that this is really about belief. And I tell you, when you first start acknowledging this essence of belief, you are no longer wronged anymore. No one wrongs you anymore. No one lies to you anymore, because you're just running your belief quotients, right? You're just unwinding them and spinning them out and just, letting to see what happens. So yeah, raise in the sun, very very good. Piper Pan, raise in the sun. If I was a palm reader, I'd be like, bitch, your shit is not looking good. You need to get it together. Yeah, I feel like I kind of do that. I feel like that's kind of what dojo is good for too. Is you start to mind the authenticity of someone's witness over the torque of your mood as a result, right? And that's what you get from the doctor. You don't really get healing. You get adaptation medicine, right? How do you deal with this feeling is more, not how do we address this feeling. It's how do we choke this feeling down is what most medicine is. Just reading if there's any other stuff. Hey guys, that new USB thing, the library Prometheus, that's going great, and I want to thank everybody who's pitched in. If some of you have been asking for a while, if you can buy the complete library, and you freaking can. Not only can you do that, but thanks to my my good friend. I don't know if I can. Yeah. Thanks to Angela. I got some cool packaging for it too. Really excited to see that. But yes, thank you. You beat me to it. But you can check out that library Prometheus, and I've burned about 20 copies already, and I'm just waiting on getting some little packaging things, and then it'll look really sweet. It features Prometheus the squirrel. That's a little hint. I'm pretty excited about that. And I should actually upload images so you can see what it looks like. It looks really cool. So you can check that out. Using discernment develops your belief. Ask yourself if you know how the test works before you believe its results. Yeah, using discernment tests our beliefs, right? It's sort of like, can I put my foot here? Can I stand on this part of this deck, right? Will it hold me? That kind of thing. And if it does, our belief becomes more reliable. And if it doesn't, we start to doubt our belief. And think about it. If you doubt the belief, it doesn't actually mean that it's not a good belief. It could be that you're not believing it correctly. We always miss this. And it gets so frustrating because whenever I'm in a circle of people and we're talking about the technology of belief, this is why I had to write a book about it, I feel like we instantly get lost in the furniture of belief. Almost every time. It's like clockwork. Where someone starts to bring up the furniture. I'm just going to throw this out, but the Wraith machine, right? The electromagnetic listening device that plays. I don't have one. I'm not trying to say it's good or bad. I'm just trying to give an example. Someone will bring up Wraith machine. And now the entire topic is completely devoted to whether or not the Wraith machine works, what the intrinsic qualities of the Wraith machine are, and what it does. And everyone in the room now has lost the technology of belief, where the question really should be, how does this machine make my belief work more? And we never say that to each other. We're always convinced that inside the Wraith machine is this little piece of magic, and that if you pay enough for the magic, it's squeezed into you and you feel better. It's part of why medicine has to hurt. It's why the birth of medicine came from the poisonous snake tied in knots around a stick. The terror and the dilation of that was the very first medicine. And if it wasn't scary, if it wasn't deadly, if it wasn't something that you wanted to avoid, it wouldn't have had that pressure, that electricity to dilate your pores, to open you up to receive the serum, the venom. And we've discovered now over time that venom itself is a cure. But why is venom a cure? Why? Well, because venom has venomitis. Venomitis is 7 times stronger than non-venomitis. And non-venomitis has been proven in a lab to 3 out of 7 times to be clinically more effective than frog urine. And frog urine was a wonderful recipe, but just over time we developed as science to realize that really it's vemonitii. And that when you smear it on bread that's moldy, it magically works. And the entire time, it's all about the torquing of the belief. And the instruments, the masks, the costumes, the white coats that we wear are simply there to excrete that belief. The belief is what's real, right? The belief is what does the magic, not the other way around. Not only are belief and truth 2 different things, I don't think we'll ever really know truth. Because really what we'll do, Christy, is we will start to build on top of each other. We will start to build on top of what we think works. But it doesn't matter what actually works or what actually is actually the case, because all we can really do is have a relationship with what worked during that time, right? That's really all we can do. So yeah, I would say that we're not even really ever able to even touch on truth itself. And that comes back to our perception. What reality even is. And if you consider the Eye of Ra, the first eye principle, I think nothing tells you more about that truth than that. Then, well, fuck, man. If my first eye is perceiving this situation 20 minutes before my neocortex even has a thought about it, or maybe a half a second, I don't even know. None of us know. None of us know what's actually happening. All of us know what our first eye perceives. And I'm just blown away. I can't wait to write this down. I've been thinking about how to write this down, but the realization that your heartbeat is squeezing your first eye, your sandbag, your gonad of sand hanging between your head, that your heartbeat is squeezing that, and the physioelectricity of that squeeze, of that pressure, is being converted into a pulse of electricity, and that pulse of electricity has information like a ping, like an underwater submarine ping. And your heart is pinging the world, and it's receiving information. And you and I have a concept of how far away it is in time, but we truly do not know. We truly don't. We know relatively when something comes in, when we are made aware of a signal that comes in. And that we can absolutely, I'd say, rely on that. That's your zetetic experience now. So your zetics are proving that, yes, there's a 3-second delay. The bogey's traveling in a vector of 37 degrees off my north bow, whatever the fuck it is. And you now know a direction and you can predict where that person's coming. But you actually don't know in real time what kind of delay is on your radar. And you can be as accurate as you want, but you could still be 3 days behind and it would still work. The same thing holds true for Ball Earth. There is a shader in Unity. Shader is what renders the world. After all the geometry is blown into the world and your character has its geometrical movements placed on the landscape with the light and everything else, at the very end of that, there are things called shaders. And these shaders are what's actually passed to the rendering card on your machine, your Plato's Cave. And there is something called Z-shift. And quite simply, all you're doing is creating a quadratic radius along the Z. And the next thing you know, everything that was flat is now spherical. And the entire game looks like it's running on a ball. And even though you're moving forward and to the left and to the right, everything curves away from you. And it all happened from a simple formula that associates that Z. It's one point. Changes the entire perspective. And now you're living on an endless sphere instead of a finite plane. It's 1,000% completely belief driven. And the entire thing is flat the entire time. But because of that Z shift, all the math works. Even your trajectories. If you hurl a stone in this game, you do not have to predict or take your railgun and say, well, there's a curve of the earth. We have to shoot over the curve of the earth. You don't have to do that because the Z shift takes care of it. What is the Z shift? Your fucking belief that this world is round. You created the shader that changes the scene. And shader graphing language is some of the most easy code to write because you're dealing with the raw triangles of reality itself, the raw photons of detail. They're tangibly movable by your belief, and we are having trouble understanding that, but we're getting closer to it. We're getting closer and closer to seeing that this is how it works. Bing! There is a first die that pings. It bounces off of your witness and comes back to mine. And I sense now, all of the witness in the room is inside of this camera. And if you were here in the room right now, you would know that there's a dog and me, and no one else is here. My ping sees through things like glass. It sees through the lens. It sees through the wires. It sees through the router. It sees through the transfer station. It sees through the fiber optic building. It sees all the way through that into your device. Our perception is so much more profound than what we see. It's beyond tangible. It's not outside of tangibility, but it is tangible with a broader understanding that it's torqued by our belief. Yeah, like we're dolphins with knees. James, have you ever wrapped the Fibonacci sequence around a clock? It's very interesting stuff. The last digit repeating every 60 numbers. The zeros fall on the northeast, southwest. The fives fall on the rest of the clock. Wow, that's awesome. No, that's the first time I've heard that. That's fantastic. You should post that in our Telegram group. I'm not trying to give you stuff to do. By the way, 108, I know exactly what that thumbnail is, and that's awesome. That's awesome. I always find that witnessing you twig is a beautiful sight, James. Twig. I'm not sure what that means. Is that the good time? You could call time a sham. You could also call time an intestine. It's another thing that we think that we're here just to eat. Or like I'm sorry, that we have organs because we have to eat, and we have to eat because we need to survive, and that's certainly one way of looking at this world. But when you eat something, you are doing the same as if you were smelling something, as if you were looking at something, as if you were listening to something. You eat something, and it's true. You sense it through your digestive tract. You digest something. And the reason why certain food takes longer to digest than other food is because that food has a longer note. It needs to sit in the string of your intestine for a longer period of time for you to hear the sound of asparagus. The sound of asparagus is 18 hours long. It has a wavelength of 18 hours, right? The sound of sugar is a short, sharp shock. It's very easy. You taste it right away. You dissolve and digest sugar the moment it hits your tongue. It's a crash the second it gets there. The Brussels sprout may take 2 days for you to hear. You will hear it later, 2 days from now, in your mood, in your association, in the iron that's felt inside of it, right? So, time is its own intestine. Time is the ability for you to secrete or to receive information, right? So time is music. The medium of music is what time is. Without that medium, there would be no notes to be heard. Back in Peru, where humans are forced to wear masks. Hey, Denise, it's great to see you. One of our own is on their way down there. They're going to Brazil, but yes, the masks. I had this romantic notion that second world countries had more freedom and all that stuff, and it doesn't. It's not that way. It's very sad. Seeing the same thing, looking at the ports, the sailing stuff too, you know? It's the same kind of a thing. By the way, right now, America and EU are just randomly witch hunting Russians. They're literally just seizing billions, trillions of dollars even in property and assets from anyone they think, oh, well, you're associated with Russia, so it's ours now. And why is that okay? Because the EU is a large group. It's because there's so many of them that it's okay. And America's the same way. There's no freaking way I can pay taxes. There's no way. Money is not even real now. They've now declared that money has a moral check mark, that if they think that you are not moral, they get to take it away from you, which means that money was never yours. And they're doing that with petrodollars. While everyone's like, but James, you're so cryptocurrency, it's just so terrible, and they're doing that with fucking petrodollars right now. Right now, it's already happening. It's international terrorism unleashed on anyone at all. And the Russian thing is just the next ploy. It's so pathetically sad. And I really hope that we wake up as fast as we can. I appreciate you guys that have woken up. I do. I appreciate you. It is time to survive, my friends. We must take the reins of this world. We must understand who is on our side. We must embrace the tribe of one. I'm going to sign off now. I want to encourage you all to tune into the radio tonight and tomorrow night. If you do not know the channel of Dojo Earth, you will be forced to look. Seek the channel of Dojo Earth, and you shall find it. And I'd like to thank you for being here today. Time reveals the agenda, says Tony. Agenda speaks through the divine realms. The divine translates through sound. Sound becomes sacred geometry. Can I get a firmament? Yeah, you guys are great. Mary gave you a link tonight. Don't miss it. Don't let her down. She probably can't even be there. She can't stay up that late. She's in Scotland. Yeah, I love you guys too. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making it less crazy around here. Thank you for riding the ridge tops with me, despite the danger. Thank you for watching the Dust Devils and understanding their illusion. Yeah. All right, guys. We'll be seeing you next time. And, yeah, take care.